Good morning, everybody. Joe Chacho here. Today we're going to do what I've done a long, long time ago. It's called the 2-minute drill. And basically what it is things that you've got to know when you're doing final expense. And these are some small suggestions that I'm throwing out that I know for a fact will give you a large payback if you kind of write some of these things down and kind of remember them on a daily basis. I'd say it's probably a compilation of probably 50 to 75 little small bullet points that some you're already going to know and some are going to kind of say, oh, I never thought about that there. And I promise you the topics will prove to be strictly beneficial in your business. And what we've got to think about before we start this call is your mind has always got to be in a student mode. Yesterday we talked about you're going for your master's or you're going for your PhD. Today it's basically similar, but yet you've always got to have your thinking cap on. You've always got to have your mind to where it's a sponge. It's always going to the part to where I've got to think positive, have an open mind about it. So when I'm listening to these things here, I'm saying to myself, that's a good item. I know that. I never knew that there. So get out a pen and paper, write some of these things down, and I know very, very much it will be beneficial to you. Now, when we get through with this here, the name of the game is for you to practice what we spoke about, repeat it, tweak it, and then fine-tune it, and go over and over and over, doing it again over and over. So what happens, somebody hears something, they try it one day, it doesn't work, so they stop. A lot of times it has to do with your delivery, it depends on your tone of voice, it depends on the client. Because I went and rode yesterday with a new agent named Bob, and with him, we were out, and we had 3 presentations, and each presentation was totally different. Now, a brand new agent that just starts in the business has got his mind set on doing it just one way. In the beginning, that is the way, but you got to adapt to the people's personality when you're in the house. So what happens is that since I've been doing this for a while, he's been doing it longer than myself, we were able to sit and accommodate these people's needs. For the mere fact is one was going in left field, one was going in right field. So we had to bring them back in and speak to them. One lady had no money, and one lady says she wanted us to come back. So it's kind of one of those, you want to come back, well, why don't you want to do it now? Well, I need to think about it. So we tried every single close we could have. So either we did not give her the proper information, or we didn't tell her what she wanted, or she just didn't want it. You know what I'm saying? So you get to a point to where I've been doing it for a long time. Bob's been doing it longer than me. We came to the conclusion that the lady just didn't want it because you can only hit them in the head so many times. So let's start off this here. Number 1, draft dates. My recommendation is not to give a client a choice of a draft date. Some agents say, well, you don't make your mind up today. You got 30 days, 45 days, and we can do it in advance to where you can start the program. My suggestion is to find out when they get their money deposited into their checking or savings account or their debit card, MasterCard, because that decides what carrier they're going to qualify for. Tell them, fantastic, that is your first discount, and it comes on the 3rd, well, great. I don't need no money today. We'll start it next month on the 3rd. If they get it on the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th Wednesday, say, no problem, fantastic. The way our company is set up is that's the date we can start it. Don't give them a date. Don't give them a choice, because what you're doing is that you're preparing yourself for a chargeback. Are you setting goals for yourself? Do you have a vision of what you want to do the end of this month and the last quarter of the year? Have you sat and thought about, I want to get extra leads, I want to buy bonus leads, I want to buy Facebook leads, I want to buy a data list? Do you have a plan in place? Because if you work your plan, you're going to end up making more money. You've got to have a direction with a plan in front of you. That's just like when you go out every day. Do you go out and you just wing it, or do you set your schedule up the night before? I recommend you set your schedule up the night before. For either clients you got to go back and see, a policy you need to deliver, an appointment you made, leads you didn't get a hold of, and write it in a day timer. I like to do an actual separate sheet per day. Have it on a clipboard, keep it in my car, so I can just go down my list so it keeps me focused to where I don't sit and veer to the left and start going back and forth, so it keeps me in track. Are you following up on the policies that fall off? Speak to a lot of agents and say, Joe, I don't have time to worry about that there. I'm out hustling. I'm buying more leads. I'm going to overcome it. which some days I think it's a smart thing, and then some days, like today, I think it's not smart. But the mere fact is those people know you, they trust you, gave you all their information, and a lot of times what ends up happening is that they just messed up. So you need to get back with them. It's money. It's a chargeback you're going to follow up, okay? You have your E&O set up for next year. You want certain companies, you got to have E&O. You want certain companies that got annuities, you got to have E&O. So think about it. Get with Jay. He'll get with you on the E&O carriers that we have. He'll send them over to you, and you can pick the one you feel is best, either a monthly plan or you get a discount for paying it in full for the year. Do you have the proper leave behinds that you need when you go see a client? Do you have the little funeral guidebook that most of the carriers give out? Have you ordered more supplies from the carriers so when you're out, you've got supplies? To me, a leave behind is so important when you leave a house, for the mere fact is that it kind of changes that feeling that they've actually bought something, they're holding something in their hand, they got something about the carrier, makes them feel good. Makes them feel very good when you hand them something, a conditional receipt, I am your policy, some leave behind information, a little bit of information about you, some of the other products you offer. Think about these things here, because when you leave the house, it's not that it's over. That person can sit and cancel on you next week. Because remember, this is an emotional and a financial decision. The client buys based on facts that you give them, things that they discuss. Yet when you're gone, they keep it based on the logic that sticks in their mind by hitting hot points. When you're speaking to them and you ask them who will be your beneficiary, and they say, well, my son Anthony and my daughter Marie. The rest of the conversation will be Anthony and Marie. It's no more your beneficiaries. We're hitting that hot spot to where we can make the emotional tie with them, and then from there we're going to assist them and help them to tailor-make a program to get something that fits into their finances. Are you asking enough questions? I've ridden with agents before. They go in, they just want the slam dunk. You've got to ask questions. You've got to bring the pain out, why they did not buy a policy before. Why did they cancel the other one? Why did the other one lapse? Because by gaining that information and knowing that there, it's going to help you go in a direction to overcome that problem that won't happen to you later on down the road. Okay? When you're speaking about pricing, I am not one to sit and say this was going to cost $97.14 and the $10,000 is going to cost you $88.12. I put everything right in front of the client. I got the paper filled out. I got a planning worksheet. Turn it around. I show it to them. They've got it. And then I've got on there $40,000, $25,000, $30,000, whatever numbers you want to put up there. I got no problem putting high prices. Yet what I do is I say, okay, ma'am, the one on top is for $35,000. For your husband is $210. I don't say the pennies. And for you, Miss Jones, is $177, no pennies. Then I go down and I tap on a couple of them. Because when you start saying $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, and you're saying the prices, and you're saying the pennies, to me, in my mind, is very, very overwhelming. Secondly, what I like to do whenever I show a planning worksheet, I don't like to show 25, 20, 15, and 10. I like to show the increments of maybe $2,000, a 10, a 12, a 15, a 17, or an 18, and a 20, because the prices are kept closer together. Because when you go sometimes from a 15 to 20, that gap is so big, they want to spend a little bit more. You don't know this here. So yet what you do is that you lose a little bit. They pick the 15. Yet if you'd have showed one for 17 or 18, they may have gone for that one there. So show tighter face amounts, which makes the premiums closer together. And then from there, if they're which one they want to go with, it's easier to show them one from 82 and change to 97 and change. So they're going from 82 to 115. Your voicemail. Do you have a proper voicemail set up when you have your cell phone answer for you when you're not available? Or does it say you've reached a phone number? My beliefs are you've reached the insurance office of, presently I'm with another client or visiting with somebody. Please leave your name and number and I can get back with you. Make it personal. You never know when they may call you back. They may say, oh, he doesn't have a proper voicemail. I don't know who this is. I may have the wrong number. you want to, as we spoke about yesterday, you want to brand yourself so if they do call you, they're going to hear your voice and your name one more time. Are you asking for referrals? Have you worked a program to work for referrals? Are you delivering your policy and asking for referrals? Are you doing referrals after you make your presentation? Are you asking for referrals in the middle of your presentation for them to make a list for you as you're writing down your prices? It's your style, whatever way you want to do it. You need to ask for referrals. They're free leads. And I promise you, in the beginning when I started it, I was a little apprehensive, as I said before. Yet, once you start doing it and you start asking and you start making sales, you're going to sit and see the value and really enjoy doing them a whole lot more. Are you calling your clients maybe a couple months before their birth date to see if they want to get some additional coverage, or calling them for an annual review a couple months before their birthday? So when you go to talk to them, they say, well, I kind of want to think about it. I'm not really too sure what I want to do. You say, fantastic. I totally understand it. Totally respect your decision. Yet, I got one important thing I need to tell you. Your birthday's coming up now in October. Your birthday's coming up now in November. My suggestion is let's start something today. I'm going to lock you in at your birthday of 67, because if we wait 2 months, now it's 68, and your premiums are going to be a whole lot higher. So why don't we kind of find a small one today, because you know you need more. Are you keeping your minimum premiums a minimum of $50 to $60? I know it's scary. I know it's kind of like, Joe, they can't afford much. Joe, I went to that house, they can't afford much. That may be so. You may be totally correct, but do not judge that client by their home. Do not judge the book by the cover. Because I've been to houses before, and I say, oh, my God, this guy can't afford much. And I show a small policy, and they buy one. And then I start thinking about it. I said, I should have shown one for higher. So then I go to another house, and I show a higher premium, and the people buy the higher premium that I thought they never would even think about doing. And then I kick myself in my butt saying I should have showed that client before a higher premium, because they probably would have bought more. Show a higher premium. Now, this is what you got to look at. Whenever you're showing premiums, whenever you're actually discussing things with your client, you first of all you must believe in what you're doing. You got to believe that you're there to help these people, to assist them and guide them, to get a program to relieve their family from the financial burden that they're going to leave them. When you believe this here and you feel it down deep inside in your stomach, you're going to come across with more sincerity, more passion, and you're going to be a more believable person because you believe in what you're doing. When you know your stuff and you practice and you're a student and you're always trying to learn and tweak and fine-tune it, what that's going to do is that is going to help you show higher pricing. Because what ends up happening, a lot of agents say, Joe, I can't show something for $100. I just can't do it. We spoke about it yesterday. $99 to $100 is just the difference of a 1. $70 to $87, there's no difference. It's still a stroke of the pen 4 times, the dollars and the cents. The more confidence you have, the more practice you have, the more premiums you're going to be able to offer because you're coming across with confidence. If your voice starts cracking and you start getting a little bit nervous, your voice changes when you start saying that higher number, they're going to see that you're intimidated by that higher number. It's just a number. The worst they're going to tell you is, I can't afford it. No, that's not something I want to do today. So say, no problem, I totally understand. We're all on a budget. And then let them look at the ones that are below that. Are you tapping your brakes when you go to the houses? Are you talking slow? Are you slowing your speech down? Are you trying not to interrupt the person when they're speaking? Are you listening to what they're saying and answering their question? Are you thinking before you talk? Are you speaking with the and the uhs and the e's and the o's? Stop, gather your thoughts, and speak. And the beauty about doing that there, it gives you time to reflect on what they said, to come back with a better answer than the little utter noises we make in between. When you ask a client a question and don't give you a quick answer, do you change that question that's supposed to be a straight answer into a multiple choice, don't do that. When you ask them a direct question, who will pay, who will be in charge, who will suffer the burden, who will, they're thinking. Let them think, because you got to bring the emotions out of them to where you can get them on your side, to where you can go over everything with them, to where they understand. But if you always try to help them with the answer, you're going to get an answer, but you're not going to get the true answer. They're giving you an answer because you're giving them a multiple question test. You're making good eye contact with your client. Are you speaking with them, or are you speaking at them? Are you using voice inflection to get points across that you want to get across today? This is something very important, and we need to take care of this today. By emphasizing certain words, it sticks in their mind. Or you give them a little tap on their shoulder, a little tap on their knee when you're speaking to them. You're getting a connection with that person there. Bob and I were speaking to a lady yesterday, and I was sitting here. She was sitting on my right. Her left hand was there, and I kept on tapping her right wrist. And I said, you understand what I'm saying, how important this is? And she's looking at me, but her husband was giving her a little resistance on what they wanted to do. So instead of me being an animal and try to close the deal and get a huge charge back, I said, let me just give them a break. Sometimes you got to go back and see certain people. Predominantly, we want to do a one-stop close. Certain times it doesn't work out that way. Are you asking open-ended questions when you're speaking with your client? Are you getting just a yes or no question that you want to get from them? Try to understand and learn the more open-ended questions you ask your clients, they're going to come back and they're going to be able to be speaking more. When they feel that they're speaking more and they're participating in this discussion, they're going to be more apt to want to buy something from you instead of them feeling that you're persuading them and pushing them down the wrong road. How many different programs are you showing them? How many different prices are you showing them? I like saying the 10,000, 15, I call those programs. The dollar amounts, I call them ideas. Been taught that a long, long time ago, so it's kind of something that is just stuck in my mind. I like showing 5 of them. Reason why? I like to give people options. I know some agents want to say, here's one for 10, here's one for 5, and they're over with. Depending on the client you're with, sometimes you show them just one for 10 or one for 12 because that's what they want. But a lot of times it's best if you show them what they want and then show them a couple ones higher. The mere fact is you never know, they may go up higher on the list. Are you keeping a money-making card in your sun visor? I call it the MMC. What that is a card that you have that will say the amount of money you want to do in annualized premiums. And when you want to do the amount of money in annualized premiums, you put that number on the top. And what you're going to do is that you're going to sit and say, I want to do $3,000 this week in annualized production in just my leads, and I want to do $700 in referrals. So your total goal for the week is $3,700. Break it up into 2 categories because it's 2 different things, a lead you buy and a referral that you get, okay? Break it up into 2 different categories because now you've got 2 goals to meet. If you hit one and you don't hit the other one, but if you put those numbers together and you don't hit it, you feel you haven't accomplished your goal. So if you have a $3,000 week you want to do, you divide that by 12 months. That equals $250 you need to collect in a check form. So $250, if your first policy you do is for $50, you're actually part of the way there. You subtract 50 from the 250, you got 200, so on and so on. When you get down to a $40 one, whatever it is, if you do another $50 sale, your actual production went up $120 annualized premium, okay? When you go do a referral, you put the $700, whatever number you choose, put the $700 there, you do a policy for $400, do it, boom, 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 and you're set up. When you set these goals up, I promise you, you're going to try harder and harder to make more sales because now you're putting pressure on yourself. You're holding yourself accountable. I've even gone to the point years ago where I even put down the amount of doors I knocked on, the amount of people that answered, the presentations I made, how many pitches I made, how many sales, was it a single sale, was it a double sale, did I write a family member, how many referrals I got from that house. There's days I needed like an Excel spreadsheet. Yet, believe it or not, it kind of kept me on track. It showed me where my strengths were, and it showed me where I needed my help at. Are you sending the policies to your clients, or are you delivering them? Some agents say, Joe, I don't have time to deliver them. My thoughts are, if you got a policy over $50, I'd deliver it. If you're brand new in the business and they wrote a policy for 25 cents, I'd deliver it. Solidifies the deal, gets you familiar, lets you see the policy, lets you get familiar with the policy because it's delivered to you, and then from there you can ask for